Deliver More is brought to you by the exceptional team here at Intech Services, proud hosts of the Intech Information Institute we just returned from. We just got back off the road, and I've been handed this informing me that I have to pick up every stitch. Oh, no, it must be the season of the witch. Hello, witches and warlocks. Welcome to the October edition of Deliver More, where we'll explore the terrifying Teflon nightmares that may arise. But I don't have ghoulish guides to take us into this realm. No. I'm joined by two gentlemen who you may know from calling us up here at Intech and getting exceptional treatment here on the phones. Two celebrities of sales and service, if you will. Patrick, welcome aboard.
Feeling spooky, Nick. You got me feeling spooky
now.
All
right. I like that.
Ready to go.
Yeah, I'm all creeped out over here.
You feeling spooky, Steve?
Absolutely, yeah.
Thanks for coming back on, Patrick.
Yeah, appreciate you having me
It's
back.
great to see you both. And I'm just sitting here, and I'm reminded of this right now. I'm joined today by the two champions
That's right.
of our celebrated Sweet 16 of Teflon.
The hoop competition.
Yeah. So we have the first champion, Steve. And Steve, you were dethroned by the man right here to my left. Has it been a year of celebrations, and you're taking your trophy to the beach with you, like the Stanley Cup?
Absolutely. The WWE belt.
Sweet.
You know, you're talking to the Rolex wearing.
A couple stabs at me every we walk by. You know?
That's all right. You'll be back. You'll be back. I know you will
I'm
be.
coming back. I'm already plotting it out.
We got to watch out. There were some hurt feelings on that last one. There were some people that are gunning for both of you. So,
you know,
that comes with defending the title.
the cream always rises to the top.
It
Nick.
certainly does, Mach. It certainly does, Macho Man. And listen, it requires a Macho Man to take us through this thing. I know that the two of you, as you go through your day-to-day business here, working the phones, taking care of business, problems arise, and sometimes it's worse than a problem. It can escalate to what we would call, and what Mike would call, a nightmare in Teflon.
Absolutely.
And that is what we're talking about today. So I appreciate you guys coming in and bringing me up to speed on some of the things you see and you hear about in the field every day. So let's get right to it. Patrick, as far as your day-to-day work, give me a scenario that just rises to that nightmarish level.
Yeah, and I'm sure Steve would agree. One would be, a customer that's got a very specific product mix in play, and they're looking to apply that one product for every job, or applying whatever product they have in shop versus the appropriate coating for the job. This becomes a nightmare on every level, right?
Yeah. You're
applying a coating. You're hoping that it's a one coating or one size fits all type of situation. It's just sometimes just not the case. And that puts a lot of things at risk. Puts you as your brand, your company name at risk for, they didn't do a great job on this job, right? I mean, this part isn't working and functioning the way that I want it to.
Absolutely.
Also puts a bad name on the Teflon brand.
Yeah.
I've heard a few times people call up, be like, yeah, you know what? I tried Teflon in the past and it didn't work for me.
It doesn't work now.
Sometimes that's the case when you're putting, something on a part where it's not intended.
Yeah.
There's other options for you. So that just ends up being a complete nightmare on every level.
Absolutely.
Yeah, there's a ton of problems that we're trying to solve, and that's what we're doing. We're solving problems for people with these coating offerings, and that's why we have such a diverse portfolio of Teflon products, to achieve that. And just sitting there to think and say that, we can just have one or two that's going to solve every problem you come at me with. It's just not realistic. So it becomes a nightmare. As an example, 420-104, we'll use that. That's a great product for food.
Yeah.
But, you're not going to throw that in a chemical environment. It's just, you're just setting yourself up for failure at that point, or why can't I put 3 coats of that on, because then you're going to have even more problems. You're going to have blistering and orange peel, and it's just compiling problems instead of let's address what you're looking for and just say, hey, this is what you need.
Yeah.
And if you don't have it, we'll figure out a way to get it to you.
Right.
That's what we have to do. Otherwise, it's a nightmare for, like to Patrick's point, for everybody.
Yeah.
From start to finish.
So if they don't reach out to you guys, they're just like, you know what, I'm not going to bother getting that recommendation. What do I have lying around?
Yeah, that's a good point, because sometimes we'll hear about it after the fact. It's like, hey, I had this part, and we used this on it, and what was it? What was the environment of that part?
Yeah.
Kind of find out, like I mentioned, like a chemical environment. They decided to put the 420-104 on it.
Yeah.
And then we have to have a conversation, go back to the coder. Yeah, it probably wasn't a good idea to do that.
No. Yeah.
So we sometimes, but like from the beginning, it's important for us to make sure that right materials being used.
Right, and I think this did come up recently. I mentioned in the intro that we all just got back from I3 in Nashville, and it's something you guys went over in a substantial fashion at I3, so people know if they were there. But one thing I wanted to bring up, Steve, with your experience here, we can bring I3 on the road.
We can, yeah, we can do a custom I3 for you. If you're unable to make it for whatever reason, that's fine. But you don't have to wait till next year. You can give us a call and we'll set up an on-site for you, customize it to whatever you're looking to do. Whether it's focused a little bit more on some sales aspects, if it's coding problems or selections as we're talking about right now. If we need to cover those more, we'll tailor it to fit your needs. Yeah. We'll dummy it down, make sure everybody knows what they want to do. We'll talk about making sure you have the right equipment in place.
Yeah.
As an example, which leads me into my next nightmare that I run into, which is these guys don't have the right equipment in place. Don't have the proper capabilities to perform the job, and that just can throw a wrench in it right from the get go. As you might have an oven as an example that can go to 400 degrees. Well, that's great, and I'm glad that's there for you. But for our products, most of the time you need to be in the 700 to 800 range. So if you're trying to cure something way under what it is, you're not allowing the performance to happen. I mean, as an example, the binder resins within a one coat need to adhere to the substrate, and that stratification happens at those higher temperatures for that. So the fluoropolymer rises to the top, giving you performance. You're going to miss out on that.
Okay.
Without the proper capabilities.
So somebody not having the proper capabilities to apply this accurately, and this is something you guys you hear a lot.
Yeah. It comes up. You'll get a powder coater, come across a job that maybe they're having trouble finding the product, so it lands in the hands of somebody that is not typically used to spraying fluoropolymer. So then they give us a call like, oh yeah, I can do this, and it's like Steve said, sometimes it's just not the case. You know? Which, there's not a problem with that, right? There's not a problem with that. If you don't have the capabilities, we have the ability to connect you with an applicator in your area that does have those capabilities. Okay, you may lose out on this job right now, but the benefit for you, maybe as a powder coater who's looking to expand their business, is we could provide you with the necessary equipment in order to do this in the future. Now, it may take a little bit of time to get everything up to speed, but that's the benefit of Intech. We can not only get you guys the coatings, we can not only supply you with technical support, but we can get you the equipment that you need to get you up and running. So
Very well said.
Absolutely.
That's the value of Intech, delivering more.
That's right.
As you would say.
Yeah, and to add on to that, the guys that maybe are using 400-degree ovens only do powders, as we talked about. A lot of our primers, as an example, we have, our primer top coat systems, a lot of our primers are liquids. So that just you might not have the spray equipment on top of the, not just the oven. So there's other equipment needs besides just an oven temp. There's multiple factors that we have to look at. And the guys that are forcing it, it's setting up for another nightmare.
Yeah, setting up for another nightmare, and really giving multiple people along the chain here in the industry a black eye. If you doing something inappropriately like that.
Yeah, I completely agree.
Here's one I wanted to ask you guys about, because you talk to our clients all the time, and with them in mind, like we always have when we're planning these Deliver More segments. I know this is a nightmare out in outside of Teflon, Patrick, but are people? Is it a nightmare right now for our people to retain their good people in these shops and the places that you speak to on the phone?
Yeah, we've heard this for sure. COVID-19 presented a lot of challenges for a lot of different people, a lot of different industries, and the Teflon application industry was no different. A lot of people found alternative ways to make their money during the pandemic, whether it be locked up or locked in or whatever the case may be. So, planning your own hours on a job like an Uber or a Lyft or a DoorDash, or maybe a less stringent warehouse job at like Amazon. I mean, there's Amazon places popping up all over the place. I know you guys are familiar with that. And they're offering really competitive wages, and that ends up being a challenge for these job shops where it is intensive labor and it does take training in order to get good at your job within these shops. They're ended up losing out, Steve, and I know that that's tough. I know you've heard it. I've heard it from people too.
Several times. Yeah, I mean, I look at it as like a supply and demand issue for workers. The demand is there, but the supply is slim pickings right now. I mean, I'm hearing it left and right, guys. I talked to a couple weeks ago down in the southeast. They're competing with the local Chick-fil-A down the road.
Right.
At $21 an hour, they're hiring. It makes it very challenging. From when they were used to doing these jobs 2-3 years ago, or offering the work at $15 an hour, and now they're having to bump their wages up. And in addition to that, it's dirty work. It's hot. In these shops, these guys are taking a beating, and it's not cut out for everybody. But the guys that are willing to work, they're the ones that would rather go down the street and be in a cleaner environment, probably have normal hours, maybe. All those things, obstacles that they're doing are just another nightmare that these coating shops are experiencing.
It must be.
I've heard some guys are showing up in the morning to start a new job. It's their first day. They don't even come back after lunch. I mean, I'm being told this by multiple shops.
Report for the morning.
I've never heard of
this.
I was shocked.
So you got to finish this story. What the hell happens when something like that transpires?
Yeah, well, they have to come back after the shift, after the break.
Yeah,
and that guy might have been doing, we'll say, masking. That was his job, just to sit there and mask a bunch of parts. Well, now that guy isn't there, and they're pulling the guy that's maybe watching the oven, and then this guy's getting pulled in both directions, having to fill in that void, and it's crazy. Yeah.
So we have these battlefield promotions where all of a sudden you're a backup catcher, but you're pitching in the 12th.
I mean, you're having to wear multiple hats, right? And that's a double fold nightmare, right? Your potentially your quality assurance goes down because you got guys like Steve said doing masking. Now they're spraying, right? It also can potentially hurt in terms of bringing in new business. Right, a guy that's maybe been focused on bringing in new business, looking for new leads, getting out there on the sales campaign. Well, now they're getting pulled in the shop because they've been, they started off in the shop. Now they got to go help out, all hands on deck, and now you're just kind of just doing your current work over and over again. You're not really expanding your business.
No. I was going to say it's just killing any kind of progress.
I had a personal conversation with on the road a couple weeks ago out in Ohio, visiting with somebody, and he's a vice president of the company. He's out in the shop spraying because he can't get workers.
Wow.
He can't find the proper manpower to handle things. There was nice size shop, and there was 3 guys working. But they were still cranking out parts, but they're draining themselves, burning the candle both ends, but they're doing what they have to do right now.
Well, I appreciate, thank you for taking me inside as well as outside the Teflon business there, because I remember going back to the episode that I did with Wolfie about problems that the industry runs into in the summer. And he was just describing the environment of some of these workplaces.
With the humidity
and I'm just thinking to myself, hey, it's got to be quite common for someone to show up and say, this isn't for me, and Amazon is right there or whatever. Wow. Right. So it's got to, that is a nightmare. For sure.
You can go in those places, it's like grade 3, page 2 work. I mean, this is a little different than that.
No doubt. My God. Well, look, and as far as if we had to balance this thing out, we went through 3. Steve, do you have another nightmare scenario that affects the people that are listening to Deliver More?
Yeah, I think so. I think another one that comes to mind and probably pops up a lot for Patrick as well, the end users, they don't necessarily know when they call in and talk to us about what performance properties they actually need for their application, and it's there's I need Teflon. I mean that's a whole nother animal. We hear Teflon and PTFE just kind of thrown around very generically. They just assume it's like, isn't it just one coating you guys have? I thought it was just something I can go buy in a spray can. Can't you just send it to me? I'll do it myself. I mean that's a nightmare in itself. Just that part alone, trying to describe Teflon's the brand, and this is fluoropolymers, and the whole portfolio, and this is why we have these. But beside that, I think, before you even get to hey, what are we looking to coat and this and that, we need to find out, is this part removable? Just say it's something that's in use. It's a large textile roller, for instance. That's a good example. That's, a ton. It weighs a lot. Obviously, it might be permanently, for lack of better words, there in the shop.
Okay.
And they're just thinking they can come in and do it in-house. We got to make sure we can get it out into an oven that that can be coated and cured properly. It's not something that's going to be air dried as an example. That's one thing. Is a substrate. We have to make sure it's a metal. Sometimes these parts are plastic. These guys are calling us for, and it's not going to work. It's not going to adhere to that. Mm-hmm. The temperatures aren't going to for curing. That part won't withstand. There's some good points I think to initially start out with asking. To make sure that they know before we even get into the performance properties.
Yeah, Nick, I mean, we have 10 questions that we feel like really help you get to the basis of what coating is going to be needed. A, is it a qualified application for Teflon? And B, which coating can you use? I mean, that ends up being is a process of elimination, especially when you're dealing with someone who's not educated on exactly what they need. Two key ones, like these ones will definitely help out, is A, do you need FDA? Because that almost cuts our product line in half. I mean, there's only certain products that are FDA regulated for Teflon use. And then the second one is end-use temperature. Our coatings are only rated on the high end to 500 degrees Fahrenheit, and with the 4 different fluoropolymers, there's 3 different temperature ranges, and with the Teflon S's, there's even more.
Yeah.
So that helps us.
Yeah, I agree. That's a good one, Patrick, for sure. That end-use temp, a lot of guys don't know. You know, we get the engineers calling in, and they're sometimes they're even unsure. You know, sometimes it's a coating shop that's just calling in, and they have a print, but we don't know the actual end-use temp. Yeah, that's a good one for sure.
Yeah.
Can cause major problems.
So you ask these 10 questions, you work your way back to eventually you're landing on maybe 1 coating. Sometimes it may be 3 coatings that are, applicable, and sometimes it may be none, and you got to no-bid the job. Like maybe there's another coating that works for you and it doesn't need a fluoropolymer. But, that's digging into the details is important for sure. And sometimes, end users or, engineers, they need to just understand that. And
it's going to take a little back and forth so we can help solve their problem.
Well, I was going to say, to go through that process of elimination, sometimes you need a helping hand. Sometimes you need to call these guys.
Yeah.
Because that's the great thing. There's no panacea. There's no cure-all for the nightmare. But if we're talking about nightmares in Teflon, give these guys a call.
That's right, man. We're here to help you find solutions. Right?
Yeah.
I know that's what Mike says all the time. Find solutions to people's problems. You can feel comfortable coming to us and feel confident in us to get you pointed in the right direction.
Absolutely. Get you pointed in the right direction. You can give us a call, and you can also visit our website. And don't sleep on our social media as well, where there's all sorts of tools and all sorts of insight shared on a weekly basis, right? Guys, thank you for making it a little less spooky. I know we started out on the spooky plane, but there is help out there, and I know from talking to people, I know that they do appreciate the fact that they can call this place, and by ring number 2, they're going to get one of you guys, and they're going to get exceptional customer service. For
sure.
Thanks for providing some exceptional analysis today.
Right, no, not a problem. We're
Our
glad
pleasure.
to clear the cobwebs out of the corners.
Yeah.
Speaking of those cobwebs, you guys are two gentlemen that like to step out. Now, on occasion, on Halloween, getting out there on Halloween, our listeners like to know a little bit more about the people they talk to all the time. Steve Bucci, can you tell me about one time where you pulled off your best Halloween costume, and what was that costume?
Oh, jeez. Oh, my gosh.
This isn't a hard one.
It might be.
Probably here at Intech.
Oh, yeah.
I'd have to say. I put together a little last minute. It ended up being easy. I got a little assist on it, but once I started looking around at some pictures, I was like, man, I could pass for that guy. I pulled off the Mike Vrabel.
Wow, Mike Vrabel. There's a name.
Yeah, Mike Vrabel. I got the Tennessee Titan jacket.
Yeah.
Got the
Motorola
headset.
headset.
Who provided the assist on this one?
That was Mr. Mike Patterson.
Mike Patterson did.
Yeah.
This is something you
And I
described.
had something else in mind. I remember. Yeah, and we were doing something here at the office. It was probably 4 years ago or so, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I just like I was thinking of doing X, and he threw that at me, and I went home, thought about it some more. I was like, man, that might be pretty good.
The Mike Vrabel special.
Mike Vrabel special.
I like that. And if you could really quick, you tell our listeners, what this was a contest you guys did on the yearly basis, I guess.
Yeah, we had something here at the office. I think it's been a couple years. Maybe we'll bring it back this year. We'll see how it goes. Yeah, it's a good
Damn
idea.
pandemics get in the way of good traditions,
It's
don't
just
they?
disrupted everything. Yeah.
I'm going to flip it over to you, my man. Patrick, what was the best costume you've ever pulled off in the spooky season?
I hate to do this, but I got a 1A and a 1B.
No, you can do it.
So one was Sonny Bono.
Oh, exceptional.
It was Sonny Bono.
I think I saw the pictures of that.
What era?
that was
Were you in the Sonny and Cher era?
We're in the Sonny and Cher era. Went out to the thrift store, got the outfits, got the gold chain, let the natural chest hair pop a little bit.
Beautiful.
Grew a mustache, grew the mutt chops, let the hair grow out. I'll never forget. I was at a party with this. People were coming up to me thinking I had a fake mustache and fake sideburns on, and I had to tell them, like, ow. This is real, 100%
Wow.
real. So that'd be 1A. 1B would be this most recent Halloween. Pulled off the Beetlejuice outfit in the prom. maroon prom or plum
So
prom
you
outfit.
had, it almost looks like the Cousin Vinny tux. Almost looks like a
The cousin
velvet tux.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Right. Had the makeup on, the dark eyes, the green and white paint, had the hair going.
I can't tell you
big time.
how much I respect both costume choices. Both costumes. Sonny Bono, Beetlejuice, Mike Vrabel. I can't wait to see what got in store
wait till
this year.
Now we got to come up with something else now. Man.
It's true. Find out soon.
Absolutely.
The wheels are turning.
Absolutely. I was saying stay tuned to that InTech Services, the social pages, because we want to see what these two guys come up with this year. This year, it's been my pleasure to talk to Patrick and Steve as we go through nightmares in Teflon to try to keep you from having those nightmares and giving us a call at InTech Services. Gentlemen, thanks for joining us today.
Thanks, Nick. Appreciate you.
All right, guys. We'll see you next time on Deliver More from Delaware. Bye-bye.
See you guys.